views expressed on this program are those of the host, guest, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Moms, are you ready to become enlightened, empowered, and stress-free? Well, get ready because you are about to tune into Vibrant, Powerful Moms, helping everyday women create an extraordinary life with Debbie Pokornik. Each week, Debbie discusses topics to help you become self-aware, inspired, and on track to create the life you crave. It's time to stop settling and start thriving. And it all begins now on Transformation Talk Radio.
Welcome, everyone, to the Vibrant Powerful Mom Show. I'm your host, Debbie Pokornik, and my goal with this show is to share information that can help you realign or stay aligned with your vibrant, powerful self so that you can fully enjoy the life you've come here to live. Today, I am speaking with Dr. Anita Sanchez, a beautiful woman that I met through a really incredible group that we both belong to called the Evolutionary Business Council. And Anita is in the process of launching a book that promises to be extraordinary for a lot of people. And so I invited her here today to share a bit of it with us. Now, let me just give you the shortened version of her bio before we begin. Dr. Anita Sanchez inspires and trains leaders in business, communities, and families to discover and trust their gifts so that they become the life-giving connection to all. Passionate about bridging Indigenous wisdom and modern sciences to create thriving, caring, and sustainable workplaces and communities around the world, Anita focuses on diversity, inclusion and engagement, cultural change, and leadership development. She is a speaker and best-selling author, and tomorrow, which is September 5th, 2017, for those of you listening to the show on your own timeline, is releasing her new book, The 4 Sacred Gifts, Indigenous Wisdom for Modern Times. Anita is here today to help us discover the 4 sacred gifts for creating healthy and happy connections with yourself and the world around you. Anita, welcome to the Vibrant Powerful Moms community.
Thanks, Debbie. That was a really nice welcome.
Oh, it's so wonderful to have you here. And I'm so excited that your new book is coming out tomorrow. That's a big deal. Yeah.
It is a big deal. Excited.
Yeah. So I was thinking that since the subtitle is Indigenous Wisdom for Modern Times, I thought maybe we should start with you giving a quick description of what Indigenous wisdom is and how it can help our listeners develop more effective relationships.
Yes. Well, Indigenous wisdom is that knowledge that comes from people who have stayed connected to the earth, who follow the traditions, different traditions all over the world, but the one that connects them all is that they understand that we are all related to each other.
Nice. And so is there a specific way that you would tell our listeners how to use it to develop relationships, or?
Yes. There are many different ways. Of course, the first fundamental way is to listen. And that is to listen. Indigenous leaders, elders teach us to listen, not only with our ears, the softest part of our ear, but also with our hearts open. And that's where we can make a real, true connection with our families, with nature, with our colleagues. Listening is critical.
Nice. I love that too, with the open heart, because there's so much more involved in listening than just the ears. Mm-hmm. We don't always get that, though. Okay, so how about the 4 sacred gifts? What are those?
Yes, these 4 sacred gifts are gifts that 27 Indigenous elders from around the world came together and from spirit telling them to help everyone in the world to live whole, happy lives. They could use these 4 gifts.
Okay.
So the 4 gifts, I'm sure you want to hear.
I do.
So the 4 gifts are, number 1, the power to forgive the unforgivable. 2, the power of unity. The 3rd gift is the power of healing. And the 4th gift is the power of hope in action.
Okay. Wow. All right, the first thing that really jumped out at me, forgiving the unforgivable. I mean, that can be a really tall order for a lot of people. So do you have any advice on how a listener can learn to embrace forgiveness?
Yes. First, I'd just like to say, I know a lot about this. Growing up quite poor, being Mexican-American and Native American, I saw lots of injustices. And then my father was killed. But that would all be enough to try and forgive hurts and mistreatments. But on top of that, it got complicated because my father was also my abuser. So I really have lived a lifetime of learning and understanding how to truly forgive the unforgivable.
Beautiful. So can you give an example of maybe one thing you've done?
Yes. First is to stop running. And that means literally running or figuratively running away from whatever that is. So to acknowledge when there is a problem, there is a hurt, and there is a mistreatment, to be able to see it, because that's the first thing we need to do to then be able to address that issue or problem. And then once you do that, then there are all sorts of help there for you. First of all, the incredible wisdom inside yourself, nature, and what my book talks about is both of those, as well as indigenous elders from different parts of the world whose traditions have taught them over thousands of years of how to be whole, how to forgive the unforgivable.
Right. Nice. I like to tell people that forgiveness is a gift you give yourself.
Yes.
And it's a really hard concept, I think, for a lot of us to take on, because we want to be mad at that person. We think that is somehow keeping them on the hook, right? Rather than letting them off it.
Right.
And yet the truth is, once we can really take that step back and say, this is only me that it's hurting. They've hurt me once or twice or a dozen times, but now I'm letting them hurt me that much more.
Oh, Debbie, you got it. It's exactly that. Because forgiving the unforgivable is truly about your freedom. Each of our truly being free. Free, as you just said, to use my energy, my life-giving energy for what I want, rather than for resentment, hurt, all these other things. It is about freedom.
Yes. And so really a person could start with practicing on the little things that maybe not go right away for the unforgivable, but just, for example, this comes to mind and I feel like I should share it. I was walking my dog today, and on the way home, she wouldn't let me catch her to put her back on leash. So I was kind of mad at her, but eventually I did catch her. I brought her home, and, she doesn't get fed as quickly, and all these little things happen as a result of her not listening. And at one point she came into the kitchen and asked to go outside. And I thought, okay, I'm ready to let you outside. And the thought occurred to me that, that in that moment, I had finished processing the emotions. And so I was willing to forgive her.
Exactly.
But it was me who needed to process the emotions.
Exactly. And we get to manage our emotions. That's the whole other thing. And I talk about that in the book. There are many ways, many methods to manage your emotions. And some of it is just giving yourself the grace and space to allow them to run their course. And that's what you did.
Yes. And I mean, your dog not listening is a very simple thing compared to, say, being abused, like you said, by your father, these kinds of things. So when you get into the unforgivable, I don't want people to think we're being flippant about, what has happened. It is just so important that you recognize this is something you're doing for yourself. So
yes.
I'm excited.
And before you move from that, I just want to thank you again for your example, because it truly is the cumulative effect of constantly practicing the little forgivenesses. The forgiveness, I forgot it was our wedding anniversary, or it was your birthday, or to pick someone up when at the right time. That when we continue to practice that, we are already building the muscle that's needed to then forgive the big things, the things that are not only individual, but can involve whole societies.
Yes. And Anita, I have to just say that what you said there triggered for me as well, that the first thing we have to do sometimes is forgive ourselves, because so many parents will be late picking their child up, or they'll forget. I mean, heaven forbid you forget your child at daycare or something. And they're so consumed with guilt. And so this also extends to forgiving yourself.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh, we could talk for hours on this one subject. So let's move on. And I think the final gift was hope, right?
Yes.
So with so many things in flux in our world, I mean, just like poverty, terrorism, climate change, superbugs, you name it. There's so many things out there that can fill us with so much fear. And so I'm wondering, how can we as vibrant, powerful moms help ourselves and others to have hope if this is one of the gifts?
Yes, it is. It's one of the 4 powerful gifts that the elders have given all of us that lie within each of us. The first thing is to understand that hope is something. It is an energy source that we can each choose to call on. So it's not all grounded in everything known from our senses. It may come from somewhere else, an intuitive place, a spiritual place, but hope is a choice.
Nice. So what you're saying then basically is step 1, choose. choose to have hope. So then how do we help our child who is feeling hopeless? I'll never make the soccer team or whatever. I mean, nowadays everybody makes a soccer team, but I'll never be good at soccer.
Right. Oh, it's really hard. It's hard. I have 2 sons, and I remember when they were little. And one of the practices that we always do in order to keep hope alive is to go ahead and acknowledge the sadness or the grief or the loss of not feeling good enough. So to allow that person to know that's kind of normal to have that feeling. And to also say, we get a choice to choose what we're grateful for. So right beside that, every day, I begin my day, and I did with my children too, of just starting what we're grateful for. And sometimes it was wiggling our toes, seeing the trees outside the window, having a good friend, whatever it is, to just continually do that. Because with that spirit of gratitude that we begin to learn very little, it's natural to us as little to just be excited and laugh and be joyful about many things. We need to keep that alive. And that's one of the big steps on keeping hope alive.
Nice. I used to, and I still do, but one of my first responses with my kids, if they said something to me like that, wasn't to argue with them. I love what you said there is let the feeling be the feeling, because that's what's really going on for them. So rather than say, oh, don't talk that way or whatever, my first response was always, do you need a hug? And then while I was hugging them, I would say something like, I think you're pretty incredible, no matter what you do. I mean, it's totally up to you whether you want to practice and learn how to become really great at soccer, or just go out there just for the fun of it. And if you kick the ball once, be happy about it. It's totally up to you, and just make little comments that allow them to see that there is hope here. And I think this ties back to what you were saying. It's about choice, choosing to see what is hopeful. So I love that. And I love the gratitude. I mean, we know how important gratitude is. Yeah. And, it just lifts us up in so many ways. So.
Absolutely, Debbie. And the other thing that you showed your son by what you did, giving him a hug, is that it is really important to surround ourselves by people and beings that are about our best benefit. So a loving mom, out in nature, just beautiful, stream or trees, friends, that to continually do that, because it really is hard to keep hope alive if we're surrounded by people who are very negative or are totally down. And it's not to say we don't need to help each other, but it means we need to replenish. So replenish by being around a wonderful mom like you, and also by dreaming That's another way. It's just allow your imagination, waking dreams and sleeping dreams, to help give you that vision, that possibility, that energy source of hope.
Oh, love it. And just taking that piece then a step further is the whole idea of dreaming, okay, so what do I want then? If I don't like this or what's coming at me this way, what do I want or what do I control? Because so often we try to control things that are completely outside of us, like the climate or the weather or whatever that's coming. And we know we can't. Right? But when we can take it a step further and sort of say, all right, so what do I control? What can I do in this situation that will give me hope? So
exactly. And so even on climate kind of things, there are things that are in our control, like recycling that plastic or not buying it in the first place, or so many things. But the key of what you were saying is, all right, this is what I don't want. And we can spend so much energy on what we don't want. However, to live that happy, vibrant life, which your show and what you do is all about, it means shifting and focusing on what we want to create. And we can do that whether we're a toddler or we're someone in their 80s.
Yes.
Our choice.
And isn't it interesting? I don't know about you, but I was always told when I was young, that I dreamed too much, that I spent too much time daydreaming. And I mean, there's a fine line there. I often wasn't listening to the teacher because whatever they were saying was kind of not holding my attention. So I would go off dreaming, but I think dreaming is such a beautiful way to bring our vibration up. Right? When we dream of what we do want, and it does fill us with hope, which is part of what brings our vibration up. So love it. I love it how it all comes back and ties around.
Exactly. And everything we're learning now from science about how our brain works, it's all in images. It's not all these words and telling and bullets and even the books and papers as well. It's these images. And as we understand that more and more, we can choose to live even healthier, happier lives.
Yes. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. There's so many directions I could take so much of this in, but I'm going to try to be disciplined. So
I'll support you in that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So I wonder if you could share with us maybe a situation from your own life. You said you have 2 boys, where you used maybe one or all of these gifts or whatever you saw firsthand, the positive influence that it could have on your relationship.
Yes. The one that comes to mind, and I'll try to make it really brief, is a son who, for the first true love that he had as a teen, turned out, of course, not to be a long-term love. And he was unrequited. He was devastated by it. And so I use these gifts, not by telling him to use them, but by modeling, just listening and listening more, and surrounding him with images and knowing of being loved, and just listening and listening more. But every one of those gifts, the power to forgive the unforgivable, the power of unity, because we don't do anything alone. That's a myth. It's an illusion. The gift of healing, that he could be, that he had capacity to do that, and we were always there for him. And then it goes, of course, the gift of hope that we just spoke about, being able to image what you want. And I must say, he came through 5 long months it took. But in that time, he learned a lot about himself. And he proclaimed that he now knew that he was a stronger person than he ever knew. And that he is having a big heart was not a problem, was a good thing in his life. And he could now decipher who were truly friends and not, and be forgiving, not only of others, but of himself. And I'll tell you, like any mom, those words just ring in me to this date. And that happened some 7 years ago.
Wow. Oh, that is a beautiful story, because so many of us want to protect our kids from everything, every little hurt. And I'm often telling people, what if things happen for us and not to us? And you're actually kind of robbing your child of that opportunity to live an experience that they've come here to live with your support.
Yes, right? Absolutely.
Yeah, so I love that, how, you help them to take the space, to take the time to do the healing, to feel the feelings, to forgive the unforgivable sometimes,
Mhm.
and to still have hope. So beautiful, beautiful. So this is kind of taking a bit of a step in a different direction, but I have a quote here that you have said. And it is, I use a strength-based approach to life and work, a positive imbalance. And that intrigued me a little bit. I'd love to know what you mean by that and how it could help us.
Okay. Yes. What I mean by that is, I guess I'm realistic. I know that there are problems. However, I live a positive imbalance life, meaning I always focus more energy on what I want and what I want to create, not only for myself, but for all that I care about. And so that I call, out of positive psychology, using that is a positive imbalance. So I'm not a guru about positive, everything's positive, Pollyanna, positive, because I think it's important to be able to see with clear eyes what truly is falling short and needs to be repaired. Mm-hmm. However, I don't put all my energy there because I need that energy to create, to create a really wonderful world in my local community and in globally. So that's what I mean by that positive imbalance.
Nice. And I mean, that ties right back with what we were just saying of hope, and feeling hopeful comes from that looking at, okay, what do I want?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Freeing your energy for creating that, rather than, just suffering, needless suffering, Debbie. I am so not wanting to be about that. And which means not focusing on suffering. I might acknowledge it, but then what can I do? What can I do to create happiness and put my energy there?
Right. Right. Well, and that is such an important thing, I think, for all of us to recognize, is that we are attracting stuff to us all the time. And by putting more energy into the positive side of things, that's what you're attracting to you now. But when you put energy just maybe going on autopilot and reacting to things and feeling negative, then you're bringing even more of that into your life. And that's not fun. It's not fun for any of us. And before you know it, you're just sitting there, on the floor, maybe throwing a little tantrum and thinking, why is life so unfair?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that is wonderful to have that positive imbalance. It actually made me think, I talk a lot about life being work-life balance being more of a teeter-totter rather than trying to get that straight line, because we all know that a straight line isn't a good sign. Right? If you think of a heart monitor, you don't want the straight line.
No, you don't.
So we want the teeter-totter to be going up and down and moving with us. So,
yeah, it's called living. It's great. It's a wonderful, wonderful, magical thing that we all are a part of.
Yes, absolutely. So we are reaching the end of our half hour together, and I want to give you a minute to share any final little words, words of wisdom, I usually call them, or nuggets of wisdom. But before we do, I just want to remind people that I do have posted on the website and also on the Transformational Talk radio profile, the website where you can go to get this book. And I just want to mention that even though this book, you work more with leaders and corporations and such, right?
Yes, but those leaders, corporations or such, also are moms and dads.
Exactly. And the greatest leaders in the world are mothers and fathers.
Yes, absolutely.
Exactly. So I just want to really let people know that, this is for you. Even though Anita tends to work with those people that might be working in a corporation, in your home, this is very important stuff. And this is where it all starts. So we do have a website for the book, is the4sacredgifts.com. And those are all words. So the number 4 is written out, the4sacredgifts.com. And even though the book releases tomorrow, September 5th, you can actually order it now. So there's no need to delay. You can go ahead and do that. And so Anita, I really want to give you a chance if there's anything more that you wanted to share. And I actually forgot to ask you if there was anything you wanted to give to the audience or anything. So I don't mean to put you on the spot with that, but if you do have anything, now is your chance. So
yes. Well, let me start with that. First thing is, if you go to thefoursacredgifts.com, you will be able to download a free song. And it is based on my book, and it's a beautiful, uplifting song. So please go and get that song. I think you'll just love it. It's for all ages. It's just, I was just in a journey in Ecuador, and I had teenagers there, and I had people in their 60s, and everybody was loving the song. So that's the gift I offer to you. And my parting words is just to say to moms, as a mom to other moms, we really matter. That we are important and we have to give to ourselves. So this book, as Debbie was saying, these gifts from elders from all over the world, those gifts were put in there for you and me to use because we matter. And then, of course, being moms, we know extends beyond that. Everything we give to ourselves that is good, the life-giving, then we are able to more fully model and give that to others, our children, our families, our spouses, all our loved ones, and people we don't even know. And so I thank you for giving me this time to talk with Debbie and all of you. And I just wish you the best lives ever. You matter. Thank you, moms everywhere.
Oh, that's so nice. So beautiful. And, it really made me think about where we started with all this, the whole indigenous wisdom and being connected to the earth and recognizing that we are all connected, that we all survive or thrive together in some ways. And so I think that's just beautiful because, we are. I feel like it's moms, I salute you.
Yes, we can feel the connection even over the radio. We know that to be true.
Yes, absolutely. So, it has been such a pleasure to have you here on our show. And we actually still have an extra minute. And so this is completely unplanned, but I know that when we're recording this, you just got back from the Amazon.
Yes.
Do you want to just give 1 minute on that? Talk about that, the healing part that you mentioned?
Yes, I do that every year for the last 7 years. I take a group into the Amazon, and I know not all of us can go into the heart of the Amazon. But when you're there, surrounded by what are the lungs of our earth, it's the most biodiverse place in the world. These trees, what is happening there is affecting our climate, our life-giving ability all over the world. So I just love that. And if I could close with one of the things that's so magical there is a chant that I sing, and I'll just sing one line of it, if that's okay. And it's giving gratitude. It's giving thanks to the great mystery. And that means everything that we see and enunciate, and moms certainly know that. It's a Seneca chant, and I'll just sing one verse of it.
Okay.
Da da ne ho, da da ne ho, Yahweh, Yahweh, Swami ho, Yahweh, Yahweh, Swami ho. Gratitude.
Oh, that is so beautiful. I am so grateful that you were able to come on this show and share your information with us. I know it's such a busy time for you, with the book launching and everything. And I'm so excited to read your new book. So let me just remind everybody that the book launches tomorrow, September 5th, 2017. You can go to thefoursacredgifts.com and pick up your copy. And thank you so much, Anita, for being with us here today.
And thank you, Debbie, and all your listeners.
Oh, you're very welcome. And that's a big thank you to the listeners, because without you, we would not be here. So with much respect for you and the journey you are on, this is Debbie Pokornik and her guest, Dr. Anita Sanchez, wishing you a vibrant and powerful day.
You've been listening to Vibrant, Powerful Moms with host Debbie Pokornik. If you've enjoyed this show, please give us a shout out and leave us a positive review. To find out more about Debbie and her sisterhood of Vibrant, Powerful Moms, visit empoweringenergy.com. That's empowering with letters NRG.com.